charger. Take off the charger. Oh snap! You got me. I'm out though.
What's up, everybody? Fernando here, and we're back with a brand new Rainbow Six Siege stream. Today we got Rev and Ro, and today we're gonna be playing some open lobbies and playing online, trying to get some off packs and all that awesome stuff. Rev, shut up! Nobody wants to hear ugly voice.
Hi guys. Yeah, open lobbies. Why you starting?
Huh?
We have 3 people. Why are you starting?
Cause it's open lobbies. Right? How you doing, TJ? What's up, Epic Ghost? What's up, Nathan Meza? How you doing, Uriel? You guys can join us. You can send me a friend request, or you can join our community called Rainbow Nando Siege. I will leave it open right now for about 20 seconds. Hey, Bertadin. Hey, it's Sky. What's up, TJ? How you doing, Idiot Show? What's up, Nathan Meza? How's everybody doing in the comments, guys? What's up? Get Throw says Fernando is lit. Thank you so much, buddy. Let's try getting 20 likes today. That's our sub goal. How you doing, Trigger Todd? I'm playing GTA 5 on PS3 right now. Jeez, bro.
20 likes is your sub
GTA
goal?
5 on PS3. Hey, Rio. Hey, Michael. How you doing, Epic Ghost? What's up, Crazy Bub? 6 says Watch Dogs 2. This faggot never downloaded it. He keeps on forgetting. Hey, TJ.
Oh,
Hey,
yeah.
TJ. What's up, Nightbot? What's up? It's Sky. Can't wait for it to start. Yeah, I'm just waiting for someone to join. Okay, no one's joining, so let's start it up. Start it up. Hey there, Andrew says hello. Rich Lopez. How you doing, Rich Lopez? What's up, buddy? NHO says hi, Tyler. Community 2. Yeah, that is a community, guys. It's called Rainbow Nando Siege. That is an easy way for us to join. Nightbot, does Fernando remember me? Ooh, Michael got the message yesterday when I told him I don't like people asking me that. Hey, Blue Wolf. What's up, Fernando? I have to go for a couple of minutes, then I'm come back. All right, Blue Wolf. Take your time, buddy. Hey, you real. Hey, Ghost Gaming. How you doing, Ghost Gaming? What's up? What's up? What's up? Hey, Oritz. Welcome to the stream, buddy.
Update the thumbnail. Let's go.
Hey, dang Oritz. How's everyone doing? Yeah, Fun Chat ID Show is moderator.
I forgot. No, it's cool, bro. Don't worry.
Hey, dude, Blue Wolf. Hey, Ty. What's up, Epic Ghost? What's up, Nathan Meza? Says go, Fernando, go. Go, Fernando, go.
I'm gonna use Twitch.
Fun Channel says when.
Go, Diego, go. That was my show, bro.
Ew, I hated Dora.
2, you mean Ro.
Hey, Lauren says, hey, huge fan. Thank you so much, Lauren. Appreciate that. What's up, Epic? How you doing, Epic Ghost? Guys are almost at 20 likes. Please smack that like button. Lewis says, what's up, Epic Ghost Inc? That's a pretty cool name, Epic Ghost Inc. Hey, Fun Channel.
Alabaster Fish 90.
Whoa.
What? That's a
You good,
sick
bro?
name. No, I'm dying.
Castro says, hi, Fernando. I'm deciding to get Valkyrie. Oh, well, that's going to suck because you won't be able to use her. Ooh, I got a friend request from Angel the Boss. I'll accept it. I'm really for this epic live stream. Yeah, buddy. Gonna turn up the live streams. Be more active with you guys. That's what I've realized. Hey, Simon.
Twitch actually works, okay? And there's someone here
Okay,
that
wait.
knows
Hold
how
on. That's why. I set your
What's why?
volumes lower when I was editing the giveaway video. There we go. Now it's better.
to-
Hey, Trigger
okay,
Tally.
I hear it. Oh, okay.
What's up, Crazy? No, they could. It was just low. Hi there, Trigger Ty. What's up,
Okay.
Crazy? Hey, Nicholas. Hey, Simon.
Oh, no.
What's up, everybody? Hey, Madman. Watch Dogs 2. We will do Watch Dogs 2. Just waiting for this guy and his slow internet to download. His brother started downloading FIFA like Monday and it's still downloading.
Oh, yo,
so
it finished. It finished.
Bet.
I'm not even lying.
Bet.
Today,
Hey,
it was
Joshua.
it finished.
Bet. We have 32 people watching.
10 years
Hey,
later.
it's good. Hey, yeah, because you never left it on without playing a game. That's a hey, Joshua. Hey, Joshua, what's up, Idiot Show? Joshua, please don't spam. You'll get timed up. Alright. Let's go. Please don't be rude to Fernando, says Uriel. Appreciate that, Uriel. Hey, Joshua. Well, who is your favorite Fernando for attacking? Well, it really depends, honestly, for attacking. But
Isn't it
recently,
Hibana? You always
for the
use
past like 2 to 3 weeks, it has been Hibana all the way. And that's only because her gun is so good that, like, even when I'm not streaming,
Hey, Ro, you guys
when I'm
live
not
streaming
streaming,
later
I play
on GTA?
sick.
Are we live streaming later on GTA? I don't know.
Probably. Woo! Look at that aim, guys. Like, you only have to put so little shots onto the enemy, and you get all that. Oh, you just hit it. You just hit all them. Yo, use your Twitch and take out the freaking. Take out the stuff on that wall. The jammers.
Hold up. I gotta get to. Oh my gosh, no.
Where's this guy?
Starting shock drone.
I think it's destroyed. Is it destroyed?
Oh, he's
I'm
right
on
there.
the jammer there.
He can't see me right now.
Diffuser is online and active.
Yeah, boy! See, look at that, guys. I mean, I know, I understand that there's a very little clip that you can't. No! Cab's outside, right behind you! Yo, what's up, Joshua? What's up, Epic Ghost? We have to decide whether you're gonna be a YouTuber. Who, me? I'm there being a YouTuber. Please don't think this as self-promoting, but is it fun?
You should have said to the right, bro.
Epic Ghost, being a YouTuber is pretty cool. Well, I mean, it's not like I do it full time. I mean, yeah, but like, it's hard to explain. Oh my gosh, buddy, Alabaster. Oh, he's gonna get interrogated too. All right.
Alabaster.
Let's just hope they don't find. Okay, take that back. Hey,
What do you
Boo.
mean we're all done?
Hey, Joshua, favorite defender. It doesn't matter if the bomb isn't defused in time. We still win.
Oh, okay.
Well, Epic, you're gonna have
Still
to.
on time.
Epic Ghost, Epic, you're gonna need to have a little time. Yeah, that's the only thing about doing YouTube. You're gonna have to have some time on your hands to do it itself. But other than that, if say you make like the best videos in the world, it won't matter until you get some exposure. And how are you gonna get that exposure? That's a freaking route that you choose.
Play with Fernando.
Hey, Angel, I just started playing this game. Awesome. If you want to join us, you're more than welcome to. You can join our community right there, Rainbow Nando Siege, or you can send me a friend request at Fernando353. We have 40 people watching. What's up, everybody? I just started playing this game. That's my PSN. Well, I have school and football, so I don't know. What? It doesn't matter, Epic Ghost. If you can find like an hour or two, however you want to do your schedule, say
Just
one a day.
To stream it would take an hour or two. If you're making videos, it takes way too long.
No, it depends on what type of videos you make. If it's a vlog.
No, but what the heck?
I killed him too late.
Wow, dude.
That's very unfortunate. Well, wait, who killed you with the sticky?
Deploying welcome map.
I think that was by accident.
Oh, that was the same guy. Wait, no, he went ham on you
Was it?
guys.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, no, that's why he got kicked. Hey, Seth. Hey, J-Man. How you doing, guys? Says hi, Fernando. How you guys doing? Welcome to the stream. Welcome.
Wait,
What's up,
how
Eric
is
Stubble?
everyone dead?
No, everyone's dead.
Or two of them.
Because he killed.
Okay, it's math, bro. 2 people get killed, 1 person gets kicked. That
No,
leaves
I
you with.
didn't see. Wait, I didn't see Rev get killed.
Oh,
C4.
yeah, he got C4'd. I think that might have been on purpose, actually.
Camera feed up and running.
Really, bro?
It is on purpose.
Alright. Okay, since there's only
Probably
3
was.
people.
I kept shooting.
No. I don't think it was. It was on purpose, cause. Yeah, I don't know why it was on purpose, but. Hey, Flash Gaming. One person did vlogs and he had 15 subscribers. You can do videos with 2 subscribers, and if you're doing it
You
right,
can do videos with no subscribers.
you'll grow like crazy.
That's what everyone's trying to do.
Yeah, obviously. Like, you can't start with 1,000 subscribers. You know what I don't get? Those people that are in streams are like, I have 0 videos, but I'm gonna start uploading when I hit 1,000 subscribers. I freaking hate that shit. Like, who
Why would
cares?
someone subscribe to you if you have no content?
You will be detected by hostiles.
Nice.
Your location has been compromised.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
I hit him too! How you doing, Jonathan? Says, what's up, Fernando? How you doing, Jonathan? Do you remember me? Of course, Michael. Miguel, I want to join you. If you want to join me, then just send me a friend request. Miguel, what's up? Epic says that is a big difference. 1 person did vlogs, and then you started live streaming and got 200. Yeah, but that depends on the quality of the vlogs. If the vlogs are shit, and then if his live streams are
Pull a
good.
phase rug, bro.
What's that?
You know how you used to be like a COD gamer, right? Like phase
Mhm.
and all, and then the guy just does vlogs now.
Oh, facts. His vlogs are okay.
But he
they're pretty
actually
fun.
gained beer from vlogs because of his clickbait.
He does a ton of shit though in his vlogs. That's why it's fun
Yeah.
to watch at times.
Like,
I'm gonna leave it when it starts. I'll be back. Hello, have a good time. All right, TJ. Not sure
Yo,
when
but
what
that
starts, but
every YouTuber milk those killer clown videos.
a lie.
Like,
Bro,
that's
this
all
guy
the
freaking
vloggers.
milked him more than milk describes. Like, this guy legit went out every freaking day and it's like, killer clown tries to attack us. Hunting for killer clowns. TJ says the stream started like 10 minutes. Right. I'm doing great, Jonathan. Thank you for asking, guys. If you could in the comments, let everyone know that we are already live, and they're upstairs, by the way. Let them know we are live. I think some people it's glitching out. My last name is Stubble. That's pretty cool. Strubble.
Your drone has
That's
found
pretty
a
cool.
bomb. 5 seconds. to
Start up a
insert.
channel named Strubble Gaming. Hey, Angel. Hey, Epic. Hey, Azir. Hey, Danger.
You've located a bomb.
Aw,
Make your way to its
nice.
location and
See, for me, The name Fernando, it doesn't go with gaming. Fernando Gaming, that sounds weird. Just doesn't rhyme. Strumble Gaming, that sounds pretty cool. Hey Alberto.
Nightbot is in the house.
Yeah, but when it's properly started, like we see what he's doing. What?
Oh, what are you talking about?
No, we're live, guys. Like, I don't think that person. Yeah, I think it's glitching for that person. I'm sorry. It did properly start. If anyone's wondering, where did they break it in from? How? Who?
From
What,
behind you, behind you. The hole, there's a hole. There was a hole in the wall.
Oh no, not by me. Hey Nathan Meza, Fernando is princess of clickbait. PewDiePie is king of clickbait. Fact. I don't think PewDiePie clickbaits.
Oh man, yo, you have Hibana or?
Yeah, I'm
You
about
want to stay here, right?
You want me to? What do you want me to do?
This is your spot, no?
Yep. Oh, they have
I
him
got
muted.
you. Here you go. Here you go.
Jeez. You got it? Tell me if you got it.
The mute? The mute?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me come up and get it.
Do it quick, do it quick, do it quick. I'm trying to jam it. They have a spot visual on me. Shit.
Alright, alright.
Alright,
You're good, you're
respect.
Let me mark them for you.
Fam, I can't
over
see
here.
this. There's like this
Huh?
little
Behind-
bar
behind.
blocking me.
Is it what? Oh no.
Injured one. Get him.
I can't, my thing is
Oh, that's all good.
Reloading.
Hey Gavin, how you doing? Gavin, hey Trigger Tire. I'm gonna get an Xbox, says Eric's trouble.
where's I going from?
I don't know,
Yo,
guys.
you
Let
have-
me
you
know
have any
in
more
the
of those
comments.
Savannah
Should I
things
get an Xbox? No, I actually use them all.
Damn it.
Let me know in the comments when I should get an Xbox. When do you guys think it's appropriate to get one?
Oh,
I feel like definitely
yo,
not
they're
right now,
distracted by my window.
but a
Let me
bit
just-
later. I'm gonna freaking repel here, bro. Give me it once. Where the heck are they, guys? I cannot see them. Hey, doing boss? I have this game at
Wait, what?
home.
Who's shooting?
Awesome, bro.
What? Oh,
I got him.
no. Oh, respect. Wait, what? Ooh.
Friendly down.
Did they break the
Oh,
bottom?
behind the objective.
Thank
You're right
you.
beside it.
Okay. I don't know where they're at right now. Hey, Ken. How you doing, Nathan?
you're
What's
there.
up, crazy? Hey, Epic Ghost. Fuse it, Rev.
Yo, I have 2 health.
Oh, shit.
Oh,
Ah!
he's in there. He's in there.
He's freaking behind. They broke the window behind me. That's pretty smart. How you doing, Gavin? Crazy says never get an Xbox. Get an Xbox at the next season. Actually,
Yo,
I
I'll be
might
right
just-
back.
I actually might get one for Black Friday.
Last operator standing.
Shit.
Just because shit goes expensive. I mean, cheap Black Friday, right? You should get one now. This September or Christmas. Nathan says I joined. Awesome.
All friendly.
Yo, I have you added. Awesome, Miguel. You should get an Xbox while the new operators come out. That's true, but I will have to start brand freaking new on Xbox. So it's gonna be interesting. But my PSN or gamer tag on Xbox is Fernando353. So if you do want to add us there, you can. As always, I do have a gamer tag. Get one at 30 to 40,000. I hear you, dude, but I want to get an Xbox so soon, just because it'll be cool. I get to play with my friends on Xbox. Like you guys, I don't think I have any friends in real life. Well, I obviously do. I just don't play with them. Okay, so we're gonna that play Xbox. Okay, yo, freaking girl. Hey, Trigger Tire. Hey, Nathan Meza. But no, Fernando, Insight. Get Xbox now. They the best gaming console. I don't know, boss. I guess that's debatable for everyone.
heard
If you
that,
guys
I
do
heard
want to
that.
join us, you can.
I'm not quote. I don't have any friends in real life.
That have Xbox. Hey Miguel, hey Eric, hey Gaudium,
Uh,
hey Uriel says hey J-Stab, so J-Stab says Tyler. But yeah, but I don't know how to join you, Miguel. You gotta click my name on. Let me show you an example. You gotta go to your friends, for example. Let's say we go to all friends. Can you try to imagine what the new operator specialties will be? Actually, I have no idea. I can't show you. Sorry.
dude, I
It's not
heard
working.
I heard that some of them could use a pistol while they're down.
That'd be
I don't know
freaking
if it's true or
sick.
not.
That'd
I
be
don't know,
like
it was
Black Ops
There's
Zombies.
sights on a pistol,
Hey Jonathan,
but
Germany.
that would be like
Hey,
the
Zay.
lamest freaking special ability ever.
Hey, Ditcher. I don't think that'd be ability itself. I think that'd be like a
True.
perk of it. Hey Nathan Meza, I'm going to join again. Awesome. It is open to you guys, so if you do want to join us, you can. I will accept friend requests. I got one from FaZe Clan is dope. Hey Shadow Killer. Hey J-Sav. There we go. Accepted that. Alright, Jonah. Xbox One is what I recommend. Yeah, that's fine, boss. I mean, everybody likes everything else, right? I mean, something. Not everything else. It's fine if you like Xbox. It's fine if you like PS4. It's fine if you like PC. Whatever you're into. Hey, Shadow Killer.
I like Wii.
You like weed?
Bro, Wii was
like
you know,
weed?
that too, man.
We're almost at 40 likes, guys. As always, I don't know why no one's joining us. I think people might be having trouble joining. Anyways, as I said, we got Milan Billy.
Melancholy disposition.
Hey, Crazy Bub. Oh my gosh, I am on the game. Huh?
What is this, dude? There's a raw weapon kick.
Oh, thank you, the boss. Hey, Jonathan. Just tired that cool. Oh my gosh, I just heard thunder. I played GTA 5 on every console except Xbox One and PC.
That's not really every
That's
console.
like half of the consoles. That's like 50% of the consoles out, because you can play it on Xbox 360, PS3, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. And
How is that 50%?
that's okay. It's like 70%. It's like 70%.
Got him.
Hey,
63 says, hey, bro. What's up, bro?
Hey, Jonathan. Get some alpha packs. I will buy an alpha pack after this, guys. Uria, what's up? Hey, Gethro. Hey,
Yo,
Epic Ghost. Can
what
you
the
donate
heck?
alpha
Please,
packs?
bro.
I'm broke on alpha pack game. You actually can't donate alpha packs. That'd be pretty cool if you would give your friends alpha packs. Say you have like 100. You give your friend like, like 10. I don't know.
90.
Hey, yeah. I was your 40th like. Thank you so much for 40 likes, guys. Just notice
bro,
it.
Can I get a shout out? Sure, bro.
Hey, Angel.
Shout
Hey,
out
Nathan
to
Meza.
God63.
You're on the blue side? What's your name? Nathan Meza, huh? I don't know what your PSN is. Dang, it's Chris. What's up, buddy? Hey, I'm sick, but I started watching this shit and I feel much better. Awesome, dang, it's Chris.
Oh, no.
Hey, Eric. Because I was told you can't
Secure the
get
area.
black eyes for the
Bombs
characters
protected.
after Buck and Frost.
Meaning. You
What's
got it
that?
for Yakko.
I got it for Thermite. I got it.
mean,
Yo, move away from the
Jaeger,
sticky
right?
right there. 3, 2, 1, and boom. Okay, that's where it goes. Guys, just a fair warning, if you do join us and you just teabag and I throw a sticky and you take damage from it, it is not my fault. Hey, Dogfist Explosion, which defender should I get next? What are my options here? Or what are your
Down
options?
to 10 seconds.
New feed.
What
Get
are
Jaeger,
you?
bro?
I
Down to 5
mean,
seconds.
if they join us, then you wouldn't have Jaeger, would you?
Oh,
Op 4 has
that's
located
true.
a bomb. Be ready for
Let's
hostile
put
action.
one. It's a very visual place, so let's put one at the corner up there.
Camera feed up and running.
All right, how you doing, Lucas? This stream is awesome. Thank you so much, the boss. Really appreciate that, buddy. As always, don't forget to smack that subscribe button. Hey, Nathan. Oh, Garden.
Garden? Alright.
Yes, boss. Multiple. Multiple from there. Hey, Lucas. Hey, Talon. Hey,
Dude,
Eric. I wish I
I'll
could
leave
trade in
jump
Siege. Dude, imagine trading in Siege, guys. That'd be freaking amazing.
That would be dope. Oh my god. On the stairs, on the stairs.
You're all mine.
Which stairs?
Show them how it's
Oh. Let's get it, Cav.
Yo, behind you, Reb, behind you, Reb, behind you. On those windows.
Come back up.
Why
Come
you
back
taking so
up.
long? Say that.
Yo, they're over here, eh?
Where you mark,
Will
right?
be detected.
Yes,
No.
boss.
This area. You will
Alright, I'm outside right now. I'm under the guy.
Yo, he just jumped off.
I need some help, bro. Shoot him. Focus on him.
No.
Kill him. Ah! He's coming from the inside. I marked it. I'm running in. There's no way I'm surviving. There's no way I'm surviving. There's no
Go,
way.
go.
I survived it. Ah! Ah!
There's a guy there, there's a guy there, there's a guy there.
Really? Really?
Come
Shut
He's
up.
coming up the stairs. He's coming up the stairs. Reb behind you, Reb behind you, Reb behind you. Behind you. He's in this.
I'm sorry, guys.
Straight across the hallway.
Bear with me.
He's in that room with 3 windows. Fernando, go up the stairs and to your left.
Hold on. This is
Hold on,
very
I'm
risky right
stuck
now.
here.
How you doing, Skygo? Hey, Alexander. Hey, Nathan Meza.
Check,
Go on my
check
Valkyrie.
your left room.
Go on my Valkyries, bro.
Alright.
Oh, he was hiding in a freaking corner. You suck. Oh. Hey, Alexander, love this stream so much. Trying to go outside and kill them. I did, the boss. I got 1 kill, but that's all. He's gonna
Red,
be to your
watch
left.
out.
He's gonna be to your left.
One of them-
I said it.
oh.
I kind of said it, bro. Use your freaking health. Get him! Get him! Oh! That would have been sick. Imagine you got up and just freaking got him. That would have been sick. This guy went teabagging. He self-healed. What if he got the kill? That would have been sick.
Oh, shit,
Hey, Nathan.
yeah.
Hey, Miguel. Can I
Hey,
come
Mike,
play
you
with
got
you? Of
this?
course. Hey,
Really
Jonathan. I think if you just spam it. Hey, Nathan Meza. We hit 50 likes. Let's go. You guys are killing it. Thank you so much. We got 72 people watching. Hey, Alexander, love the stream so much. Should I subscribe? Says Sky or the GOAT. I would appreciate that a lot, actually. If you want to subscribe, that'd be awesome. Get smoke. That's actually a good idea. I don't know if I'm saving up for a
What does
freaking
smoke do?
operator. He smokes. Like, he literally throws smoke.
Like that yellow smoke.
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like.
Yeah.
That's just nice. Hey, Nicholas. My teammate saw you, says Nathan. Hey, Jonathan says, dang, bro, that was so scary. I freaking run from the outside where there's two guys, and that
there
guy,
was a guy in the
yeah,
hallway, right?
dead
The
ass.
pool place. Yeah.
Hey, Noob Gaming. Hey, Nicholas. How's everyone doing, guys? Smack that like button. Let's
Rev,
try
you
getting
showed that
60
earlier,
likes
bro.
today.
That guy came up the stairs and he looked right at you. Your
Facts.
face
Thank you
was
so
back.
much, Swish Fish Plays, for subscribing.
I
If
don't
you
know
do
how
subscribe,
how
you will
do
see it at the top right of your screen. Hey, Swish Fish. Are you playing on PS4? Yes, and my gamer tag is Fernando253. So add up. Hey, D's. Dago. Bosses, guys, everyone liked this video. Thank you. Hey, Uriel. Hey, Noob. Gel says, I got black eyes for Sledge, Thatcher, Mute, and Smoke. Nice, bro.
Jeez, that's epic.
Actually, I have them for 7. I have Thermite, I have Sledge, I have Mute, I have Smoke, I have Mute.
Yeah, but that's on the secondary, right?
No.
Pistol?
The shotguns.
Drone has located
I have. Oh, what pistol one do I have? Which pistol one? Jaeger's
The
pistol.
Jaeger, no?
Jaeger's
Yeah, you
pistol.
have
Yeah,
Jaeger
yeah.
one.
I have Jaeger's pistol too. David says my brother is sick, but he started watching his streams and he feels better. Dude, I appreciate that. Try my best too. Hey,
No,
so
no,
can you
no.
play us?
Stupid.
I will play as Twitch the next attack round. Hey Christian,
Oh,
how do I
taking
join?
Switch to breach, bro.
What?
They didn't barricade that one door over there, that one side of the garage.
You just said I should have taken
5 seconds.
Twitch to
Thermite,
breach.
thermite.
Hey, dude, show. Hey, Faces. How you doing, Faces? Yeah, you guys can join the community. That is the community right there. Love your vids,
Yo,
dude.
Rev,
Thank
are
you so
you
much,
at?
D's Go.
Location and
Hey, Zir.
No.
Over 50
Oh,
likes.
yeah.
Yeah, you guys are killing it. Hey, Uriel. Hey, Nicholas. Hey, Faceless.
Who's not getting that? Let me find
All right, go ahead.
Activating.
Oh, shit.
Oh, shit.
They're spotting us. Why do you not take out the cab? You just run away.
Yeah, I don't know where the cams are at. Definitely.
Facts. I need to learn that too.
Hey, Joe. Yeah, but running away isn't gonna help you. Look for it. You search for it. Yo, they have a snake freaking peek hole right here.
Yeah, I know.
I might just
got no
attack
clue
him.
where the cams at.
Okay, here we go. Here we go. Go check this place out. 1 second, guys.
I need to check it out.
I'm playing with this guy right now.
Where is he? Where is he? Hey, dude,
Ooh,
Faces. What's
he's
up,
right
Tyler? Hey,
on
Darren
the
Miller.
market.
Hey, Idiot Show Head, duh. Enemy outside. Enemy outside. I'm gonna rush his ass hard, bruh.
He's the only one I see down here.
Got him.
In
Woo!
nice.
Let's
nice.
go. Hey, duh. How you doing, dude? Dude, I haven't seen you in a while, bro. We have 67 people watching. That's what's up.
Yo,
Hey, dude.
I'm in
Yeah.
A right now. I don't. Hold up. Let me see. Where they're at.
Where's this camera at, bro?
Oh shit! I keep getting spotted.
Just got. There's only 2 alive. I don't like that Cav's one of
Bro,
them.
do you know where cams at?
Who cares about the cams? Just forget about it.
Hold on. Shh.
Yeah, breach
Try to
that.
listen.
Oh, respect.
Hey, dude. Let me try out here.
Oh my god, dude, come. Oh my god.
Oh,
There's 2 of us, and you just leave.
The diffuser
Wow.
has been
Okay,
secured.
play it slow.
Yo, he's on pro. Oh, Fernando, you get him.
Got him.
Nice.
Woo!
Operator standing.
All right. Now's your time, Rev. Make a distraction there. Make a distraction right now. Make a distraction right now.
Yo, he's at the top. When you come into A, there's a little hatch at the top. He's peeking through that. He dropped down. It's Cav. He's right
Where?
beside. He's right objective A.
Hey?
Loading, no magazine.
Oh!
There.
Let's go!
Nice.
Yo!
Nice.
I got so scared. Fam.
Let's go. Good job.
You see me running my ass out outside. Hey there, Shadow Killer. Of course you can join us, buddy. Join the community and send me a friend request at Fernando353. Euro says nice job. Nah, that was Rev. He did a good push there. I'm fine. How are you doing, buddy? I'm doing great, Adele. Happy as ever. Let's get 60 likes, guys. We can do it. Hey, Nathan says you got me. Nathan, what's your PSN? Hey, Shadow.
What was
hey,
that?
Uriel. Hey, Tyler.
Yeah, you only got that kill because
Hey,
my
Hey,
call.
Alexander.
No.
I'm playing Rainbow while watching. That's awesome, Alexander. I'm like your background voice, eh? Yo, we're getting so close to 260 subscribers. You guys are counting. And we have 80 people watching. That's what's up. Rappel to the top and snipe. That's a good idea.
Protect the bomb.
Hey, Darren Miller. I just didn't want to rush that. Hey, Logan. Definitely didn't want to rush that one. Because there was no point,
Good
right?
job, Rev.
Yeah, I'm actually proud of you, Rev. Good job, buddy.
Bomb location compromised. Plan accordingly.
New camera feed is running.
Okay. Let's put cams over there and there. Hey, Miguel.
Oh,
Hey, Dub. What's up, Logan's house?
yo,
Logan's house.
You can stop worrying about
you know where to
Oh,
yo,
no,
yo, you know
freaking
spot
Twitch.
peeking spot?
10 seconds
Yes.
left.
Don't shoot me. I will kill you.
reloading.
Where's the Twitch? There's the Twitch.
Down to 5 seconds.
What'd you say?
Twitch thought it was slick.
Op 4 has
Hey,
located the
Rowans.
bomb.
Hey, my God. Hey, Faces. Hey, dang, it's Chris. Adele says, deadass scream. Bro, I deadass. I got scared for my life there. Like, I ran my ass
They
out.
don't spawn. They didn't spawn at the dock.
But it's spawn here, yeah.
I think Garden.
But,
Again?
but-
Definitely Garden. Definitely Garden. 100%. Hey, Joe. Can you please shout me out? Of course, Joe Gaming. Shout out to you, bud. Oh, shit.
Yo, there's someone peeking through the 3 windows at the stairs.
Yo, say washroom, bro. Oh. Oh, never mind. Just took in what you said. Yeah, I don't know. The guy's there. Hey, Tyler. You doing, Tyler? Got a legendary Deagle skin in an alpha pack? Nice, man.
Nice.
Got him.
Where did he be coming from?
They're coming from Garden. I'm marking it. Yeah, under you. Right under you, eh? Hey, Bobby. How you doing, Bobby?
Should I drop down?
If you want, yeah, go. I'll push from downstairs. If you want, at the same time. Okay, I'm not doing that. I am not doing that. Hey, the Epic Ghost Bobby says, hi, I have a weapon skin for Val. Dude, I wish I got a proper weapon skin for her freaking not shotgun.
Not
I mean,
shotgun?
for her shotgun. That's what I meant to say.
Not shot.
Not shotgun.
Yo, go on, Camzro.
Yeah. No one in the front porch area. Inside the building.
Better be watching my back. Hey, Cash and Nathan. You're amazing at Rainbow Six.
No
Appreciate
one.
that, buddy.
Oh, yo, peeking in the pool room, the pool table, living room.
Yes, boss.
They're peeking at the corner, at the thing that's open.
They're
This
fusing
one
too.
open. This guy's peeking. I don't want to
Yep.
mark him.
Mark him, mark him.
He's still peeking. He's still peeking, dude. He's still peeking.
Dude, I'm getting freaking attacked right now. Chill.
Alright.
Ah!
Why would
I
you?
wanna.
One friendly remaining.
He got a lucky shot
Oh.
on my head. Okay, there's multiple. Go. They're at the top. They're at the top.
I think they won't come through the porch, the main door.
To your left. To your left. Hard left. Okay, don't shoot. Oh my gosh. Hey, Rowans. Hey, there, Sky. Go. Can you get black eyes for Hibana? Oh shit. What? All right. Check the downstairs. Check downstairs. Go to the railing part. And check the front door. Check the front door from the top. That's not the front door.
Is there someone on the front door?
Yeah, there was. Where are you going, bro? Check the front door.
Front door. Oh.
Watch that. Oh yeah, see? He's out there.
You would jump down and go
No,
up there.
no, definitely not. Definitely not. Just do your own thing.
You're last alive, so chill. Back.
Thank you so much, Idiot Show. He's gonna be out there. Don't rush him, bro. Oh my gosh, this is scary, guys. Hey, Troy. Hey, doing, Troy. I think my next
Yo,
defender is
drone
going to be
here.
Valkyrie.
Drone behind you.
Oh,
Drone
this
behind you.
fire,
Drone behind
this
you.
fire.
Yeah, I know. Run downstairs from the stairs. Okay, he knows where you're at. Check front door. Check front door. Oh shit, my bad.
Wow.
All
He can't.
friendlies
There was
were
one
eliminated.
in the front door, and there was one to your left up the stairs. That's Buck. Hey, Hunter Raid. Can I get a shout out? Of course you can, Hunter Raid. Thank you, Neza. Nathan says we will win. Jeez. As
he on
if he
the
knew.
team?
I don't know if he is. Hey, Tony. Nathan says he killed you. Really, Nathan? I thought she killed me. Hey, Bobby Chad. You're my favorite YouTuber. Thank you so much, guys. Really do appreciate all the support you guys are giving. As always, please do subscribe if you're freaking new. And don't forget to check out Rose channel too to get 200 subscribers. Thank you so much, Bobby.
Yeah, bro.
Hey, Meza. Hey, can I get a shout out, Hunter? Hey, Mighty Mice. Are switching teams in stream? Yeah, we will. We will switch up teams every 2 games. So this is the first game. After the next game, we will switch it up so you guys can join. What's up, Hectic? How many people on the list? On what list? Hey, Thanos. Yeah, Alex. Hey, Fernando. What did I miss? LOL. You didn't miss much. Oh, we're releasing the giveaway video today, and the giveaway is a gaming headset. So if you guys want to see it, and if you guys want to be a part of it, you better subscribe, cause that's one of the requirements to winning it. Hey, Sky Goat. Add me on PSN. Send me a friend request, buddy.
Drone has located a bomb.
Hey, Tyler. Why? What happened?
My drone. They're at the front porch. They have a scramble.
Eric. I'm saving it for renown for new operators. Facts, bro.
Why'd they have to put in the
Drone
front
has found
porch?
a bomb.
Bro, they have so many out here. Jeez.
Facts.
Insertion in 10 seconds.
Hey, Cashway. You're my favorite YouTuber. Thank you so much, the boss. Hey, Doe. How you doing, Doe?
5
Hey,
seconds
Nova.
before insertion.
Nova passive.
Nova King. Press.
A teammate stole my kill, says Cashway.
You found a bomb.
Facts.
Make your way to its location and defuse it.
Alright, let's go. Fern, is that ranked? No, it's not ranked. I don't play ranked because I can't focus on ranked and this at the same time. So, you know, we just chill. Okay, here, I'll take.
Watch out, eh? At that window.
Oh!
Who?
They have a P
Where?
code. Do not go through front door. I saw it and I was like, wait. Is that?
Yeah.
I saw a laser. Oh my gosh, guys. That is an insane freaking peak hole. I have never seen that peak hole in my life. Don't go there. Don't go there, dude. Do not go there.
There's a guy there. Pop
Hey,
your
Tom.
head out. Oh my god.
Hey, doing Tommy. Adele says, what are you spamming, idiot? Hey, Troy. Hey, Rainbow. I've added you on my crap account. Wow. You know, you don't add me on my good one. How do I win headset? You have to subscribe, buddy. I will release a video on it today. Okay, just run in there. Run in there. Hey, Uriel. He's spamming Rose Adele. What? How you doing, Nova? Hey, Tyler. Idiot. No spamming, please. And thank you for your cooperation.
Oh my god.
Double
Oh,
down, double down, double down. Come get him.
Shit.
Come get him.
It's cap 2, bro. It's cap 2.
Come get him. I feel like you're gonna die, bro. I'm sorry to say.
No, don't say that. Don't say that. Don't say that.
I really am sorry to say, but
Yeah, I can't move right now, bro.
What do you mean
You're
you can't
dead.
move?
Yeah. You're gonna play GTA
Bro,
with
come.
Rainbow?
Oh
I
my
mean with
God.
Hike? Yeah. Sorry,
Oh,
buddy.
geez, good job. Not okay. See
Sorry,
what you
buddy.
did? It's cab that was down.
And now your whole team's screwed.
Media show run. Bunch of people in your chat. Oh, I appreciate that, bro.
Hey
bro,
Tommy, do you
I
remember me?
couldn't
Of course I
agree
do.
more. What's up,
I
bro?
subbed Can. I got a shout out. Of course you can, buddy.
Rev,
Thank you so much for
strong.
260
Bro,
subscribers. How do I
You just
not
put
join the
yourself in
giveaway?
jeopardy, dude.
I will put it
What's this guy
out.
doing? What's this guy doing?
Oh
Why you
my
just running
god.
friendly?
I'm changing my main or your name. Oh, your name. Hey Rainbow. Beats. Nice dope says nice one again, main. I'm not sure if that was sarcasm or not. What headset? The Quotient each by Easy SMX.
Damn.
I'm changing my name next round. Oh, your name. Your name right next round. Imagine this guy plants it and clutches the life out of it.
Facts.
What are the chances, right? Do you ever play ranked? I have a couple of times. Man, it's not something I like doing. It's just because,
Epic
you
Ghost.
know,
What did Epic Ghost say?
you have to try hard, and I don't really like try harding in these games.
Hey, that was Nightbot, bro.
Oh my gosh. Hey Bobby, can I play and have a shout out? Of course. Rainbow Panda. Hey Bobby Tron. I was killed. You Fernando. Huh? Hey Backyard Legends. Can I have a shout out? Of course, of course. Of course.
Rude Nightbot, right?
Hey Max.
Tell him again.
Hey there Max.
What are you doing, Nightbot?
Hey Nathan. Hey boss. Yo, we're at 70 likes, guys. Can we get 80? I know we can do it. Also, please smack that subscribe button.
I'm so salty, bro. The freaking tap got me.
Oh no, this isn't gonna work out for him. They know where he's at. You're gonna rush the life
Yo,
out
peep
of
those
him.
yoga instructions, though.
Facts. Do your best. Something your body. Oh!
Oh.
Oh my gosh. There's no way. I will freaking
Arr.
behind him, behind him, behind him. No, that's on top of him. Never mind. This guy's just snowballsing it, bro. Oh, he's got a plan.
15 seconds remaining. 10
Fam.
seconds.
Fam, just plant it.
Oh my
Fam.
god.
Fam. How you doing,
Fine,
Will?
oh my.
What's up, Eric? What's up, guys?
If
Hey,
this
Rainbow
guy
Beast.
gets it.
User is active. Protected at all costs.
Oh, no way. No, no. Guys, hashtag no way. Hashtag no way in the
GTA
comments
5
right now.
King.
Hashtag
Bro,
no
you'll
way
be
in the
friends,
king.
Of course I am, bro. Just send me
Hashtag no way in the comments. Oh! 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 No! No! No!
If he shot his like upper body, feel like died.
No!
Let me tell you my PSN.
No way!
Diffuser was
No!
The diffuser has been destroyed. Mission
Oh my gosh, this guy almost had an ace!
That's my PSN, bro.
Damn! Hey
Yeah, is it
Tyler, hey
possible
Bobby,
for a
trying to get
body
crazy.
to land on top
Hey,
of the bomb
backyard.
and you can't see it?
Yeah, that'd be sick. Hey Alex. Oh my gosh, imagine he had it, yo! Imagine he
Boy, see, but I have to
freaking
wait
had
till
it
next
in
week.
the
That's cool.
comments.
Why, bro?
Damn,
PS4 take it away from
dude,
me?
he did good. Like, I'm proud of that guy. He did really freaking good. Hey Rich, hey Rollins, what's up Miguel? Hey Nathan, almost an ace, right guys? That was pretty close. Good job, buddy. Hey Darren, hey Argali. As always, guys, please smack that like button. We're almost at 80 likes.
I'm with my mom and I don't have my
Hey,
PS4.
Garzino.
Oh, that's cool, bro. Add me to
Hey Del, you have 85 people watching. Oh, you guys
should
are
make a
awesome. Thank you so
command
much for
your
coming
username.
by.
I should make a
Really
command,
do
bro.
appreciate
I
that.
swear how
Miguel
would,
says
but
that
I don't
was
know what
me.
it is.
Was it Miguel? Good job, Miguel. Hey, it's here.
There's
So
thousands of
close,
commands.
yet so far. That was madness, bro. I feel bad for the guy. Like, I really do. Hey, crazy bub.
Yeah, he was
Please
just
equip
he was just
booster.
going off, bro.
I don't have a booster right now. I should buy another. Hey, Darren.
How much are they?
It's like $5. Hey, Boobytron. Hey,
Wait, what are the
Larry.
different options?
Alex says he's a real one. You can get 1 day, you get 3 days, you can get 10 days, you can get 30 days. You get 100 days.
30-day booster. Damn.
Imagine a 100-day booster. Hey Frank, yo, it's Frank. How you doing, Frank? What's up, Lisa
Should I use-
or Alyssa?
Nah, I'm
Not sure how you say it. Oh, I need to go Twitch. I need to. I need to.
Why?
Someone asked me to. Hey Traco, what is
Oh,
your
shit.
favorite camp? I think you're trying to say camo. My favorite camo from Alpha Packs is Black Ice. I'm mainstream.
No, to be honest, I like that one that you got on your
Hey,
Valkyrie.
Alex.
The gun.
Oh, the tattoo. That one's pretty sick. Hey,
That's
backyard.
nice.
Subscribe. I got first clutch 1v5 ace using Valkyrie. For real. Use Blackbeard. I will use Blackbeard next round. Or next attacking round. I just fulfilled someone's request on using
That's
Twitch.
GTA 5 Kings, bro.
This is gonna be
Blackbeard. I was
Blackbeard.
snappy with it.
Hey, Leslie.
Can you guys do a
Black.
custom 5v5 one day?
Change
I mean, Fernando really
name.
doesn't like doing that because of stream sniping.
Facts. Hey, boss.
I want to try. I
Everyone
want to try that. I actually
subscribe.
want to try that though. That
Hey,
sounds sick.
yo, Twins Coconuts is verified and he came by the channel. Thank you so much, buddy. Appreciate it. Alright, let's go. Any visual up top? Any visual?
I've
Oh,
been there
damn.
at that little glitch spot.
That's pretty cool. Twins Coconuts has almost 1 million, dude. Congrats, bro. Congrats. Appreciate you coming by. Hey,
That
Lisa.
many subs?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
When
dope.
it- Hey, Jay. When is Hike streaming? He's going to be streaming soon, guys. How you doing, Bobby? Black Ice is my favorite, right?
The hostage has been
They're
located.
downstairs.
Yeah,
10
downstairs.
seconds.
Who's your
I don't
favorite
know,
operator for
yeah.
defending and attacking?
5
Well, it
seconds to
actually
go.
depends who my operators are. For attacking, it really is Hibana.
Hostage site.
Yo, actually, let me go back on this. Can you do a stray? Twitch. Kev. Gonna get you. You know you're not.
If you need anyone to do it, please let me know because I love to hang out with this squad, even if it was one.
No, man.
Of course,
Damn
bro, I
it.
got you.
How you doing, Kyle?
Make
Tell
sure
people
you
to
add me,
sub.
I'll let you know.
Appreciate it, bro. Backyard. Hey,
You don't have a
Tacto.
command for it? Oh, I don't.
Alright, let's go.
I don't even know how to make commands, to be honest.
Alright, come on. Let's go. We're almost at
Dude,
80
need
likes, guys.
honest.
We're only 4 away. Please smack that like button. You're a badass beast. Oh, thank you, Hunted. They have Valkyrie. Valkyrie's hunting me right now. I have a feeling. I don't know where Valkyrie's at, but I know it's hunting.
Where's the Valkyrie crab? Oh,
I mean, not Valkyrie. Cav.
Cav?
Uriel says, isn't it Hike's Day off today? No, it's, isn't Friday Hike's Day off? I'm pretty sure it's Friday, no?
Is it Monday and Friday?
Yeah, I think so. Taking out cams.
What?
I'll ask someone if Fernando's chat to make one.
No, no, no,
Alright,
no, 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 no. Okay.
Oh shit.
There's Valkyrie. How am I getting taken out? Hey, I ballistic. Okay, yo, what's this guy doing? Come on, man. Like, actually play. Hey, Robbins.
Oh my
Hey,
God, that was
Kylie.
hostage.
Hey, Zachary. We'll be on for another hour or so. Yeah, we'll probably be on there. We're probably gonna be playing. As always.
I do not want to go down from there, bro.
From where?
Right where we were.
I'm going down. Hey, Dicho. I'm
Damn.
Valkyrie. Put that on there.
Going live.
What's the fastest way to get there?
Okay, ready? Ready? Here we go. Pop. Don't know where he's at. Not about it. That's why I didn't want to go in there, guys. Hey, duh. Oh, yeah, Hike takes off today, does he? Hey,
No
Ballistic.
way.
One friendly.
Who's shooting me and from where?
Gosh, dude.
The behind the shield, behind the shield.
I know. Freaking screwed. Oh, my God.
Nice.
Ah!
Four eliminated all
I was at so
friendlies.
little help. We at 80 likes. Let's go. Are you going to play with TG? I have
Hey,
before.
Nisha, you know what? I got you.
Oh, Hike's off today? Okay. Have to
There
go
you
drop
go.
a like and I'll subscribe. Thank you, Will. Hey, Zachary, can I please play with you? Are you on
You live in
Discord? We're not
Canada
on
too?
Discord,
Yes,
but
I
you
do,
can
bro.
always play with me, guys.
about you?
All
You
you
live in
gotta
Canada?
do is join our community right there. Oh, wait. I closed OBS. Way to go. There we go. Our community right there, Rainbow Nando Siege. And also, you can send me a friend request at Fernando353.
Oh my God! I just realized.
So that's how you can do that.
I got this sick camo on my P12.
Mm-hmm.
The secondary weapon for Jaeger.
Uh-huh. Go on.
It looks nice.
Okay. Anything
No,
else you want to say?
Canada.
Anything else you want to say? Hey there,
Yeah,
Edicha.
I'm
I'm
Jaeger.
streaming right now, but I never. Oh wow, Lizzie. It's a low-key way to
Protect the
freaking
hostage.
self-promote.
Secure the room.
You gotta sneak it in there, bro.
Let's try and get Fernando 300 likes on this. That'd be crazy, Alex. I don't think I've hit. Actually, yeah, I've hit
Location is
300.
compromised. Get ready.
Bro, when freaking gun running DLC came out, I have.
Hi, bro.
I had
Hi, bro.
almost
Let's play Rock Shot,
300
bro. How you
freaking
doing?
people watching, which is insane.
Loading new.
Say
But
that
also
again?
some random days as well, right, Ada? Yeah, Alex. Hey,
What did you say?
Huh?
What did you say?
I had almost 300 people watching when
10
gun running
seconds
DLC came out. It's crazy.
Oh damn.
Down
Oh,
5
freaking
seconds.
Twitch.
I did work on a video before this. Like I had to make a video, so that's why
Advised, Op 4
stream
has
was
visual
late.
on the hostage.
I did want to stream a bit
Thank you.
earlier.
We
But,
all want to stream a bit earlier, buddy.
Yeah.
bro had some front door. Found them.
Okay. Can you mark it real quick? I don't know this map that well.
Found front door. Marked it.
Okay.
Shit, I'm not about it, bro. Ah, I'm getting attacked, bro.
How
Oh
did I
my
not
gosh.
get
Hey,
it?
Alex. Hey, Kylie. He's here.
Rev, race to your left, bro. Or your right. Move, move! Oh my god, you just got me.
C4
bro.
deployed.
Thanks, buddy.
That was a tough one.
What?
Here, Ivan.
This guy's on prone beside
You should do
the
GTA
biggest
5 for
window.
lowrider stream.
I was
Yo, we
right
should do a
about
lowriders
No,
GTA
you
stream.
weren't. There was a window to your right. That AML, right, dude? PS ain't go at right now. Yeah, bro.
Oh my gosh, there's freaking two of them in there.
LOL, bro. That
Why?
Was near my fault.
Man.
I didn't want to kill Rev, dude. He was right in front of my sight. Kill him.
Okay, bro.
Nice.
Go, 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 go.
Last chance.
Boom! Oh shit. Oh shit.
Is that it, bro? What do you mean is that it?
Go, 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 go. Come on, get them, get
Oh,
them, get them.
TSN? Yeah, bro, you got it. Wait, actually, you forgot two of them.
Bro! Why?
What?
Why? Why would you look at them?
All friendly.
Why would you look at
It's
them?
two of them, bro.
It doesn't matter.
Six.
This guy didn't even
I wish
look.
I had PS4. Right, bro.
Oh, hey Nathan. Come in. Have a good stream for now. Alright, well, thank you so much for coming by, buddy. Let's try getting 90
Hey,
likes. Hey,
Fernando,
Tyler.
Big Chico? Yeah,
Hey,
bro.
Alex. Do a RPG versus
like-
stunters.
I like that name, Big Chico.
Hey Nathan, man, that's has got you. Nathan, I know you're lying at this point. You're not on the other team, buddy. I know you're not on the other team. Okay, okay, good try. I appreciate the effort. I appreciate
yeah, bro,
the try.
That's the PSN.
But you're not on the other team. Okay, I know you're not. Okay, don't lie to me. Hey Alex, I played with Crypto. I don't think so. Who's that? Nigga says
we're
please
getting
play Blackbeard. I should. Well, you know, if you guys got
Dill
more than
says,
one
"Hi,
kill,
Robo." What's up, bro?
if you guys got more than
Miller,
one kill, that'd be kind of nice, you know. Just saying.
Dude, this guy goes prone right beside the biggest window.
That say there, Miller. GG rip.
No, there was a guy on the other window. And I got shot,
So you just forget about the huge ass window beside you.
Yeah, kinda.
All right, Azir, thank you so much for coming by, buddy. Really do appreciate it.
Where they
Catch
at?
you on the
Where
next
they
one,
at?
me and same place you
Oh,
were.
I'm serious. Hey,
Alright, let's go. Hey, Robbins.
what's up, Faces? How you doing, bro?
This game's cool.
How good? How are you, buddy? I'm good. How are you? Rios, what's up, bro? What's up, bro?
Alright, let's go.
10 seconds to go.
Hey, GTR, how you doing?
How are
Gaming
you guys?
Joker for the win. What's up, buddy?
5 seconds.
You got me. I'm not playing. I know you're not playing.
How's that not?
Where they at? Where they
Oh
at?
no!
Where
Shit!
they
Shit!
at?
Shit! Damn it!
Alright, there we go. Let's go, guys. Hashtag we believe in the comments. We're almost at 100 likes, too. You guys are killing it. Thank you so much for all the support. You guys are amazing. Ooh, bang.
Oh. Okay.
Thanks, buddy.
Why did you have to breach that?
Thanks. Alright, let's go. I know you are, Nathan.
Captain, please watch out.
Checking area. Don't see anyone. You know what? Let's put one right here. Oh shit!
Oh my god!
Oh my god! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
Guys.
Oh, I am not okay. I am not okay after that. I am
Whoa,
definitely
got
not
aim.
okay. I am definitely not okay after that. Definitely not. Definitely not.
Bait him.
Going live.
I am not okay. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, I am still recovering, bro. How you doing, Frank?
Dude, oh my god. It's gonna so much for it.
That shit got my heart pumping
It's just
faster
a
than a
3-round
freaking.
burst.
I don't know what faster than, but it got it pumping, bro.
Oh!
Friendly operator remaining. Op 4 last stop standing.
Shit, man. Well, I gotta be dead.
Capkin just popped out of nowhere.
Oh, guys, I don't know what to do now.
Go arrow right now. He says, hey guys, what's up? Adele says I'm doing well. That's good, bro.
Okay, thanks so much there. Okay, let's go this way. So this way, we're only 3 likes away from 100.
He should have. Oh, there you go. You can take my moderator. No, it's okay, man. Close call. Yo, that was terrible.
Yeah! Hey! Pop it! Yeah! Hey! Pop it!
Sneaky little kid.
I knew he was gonna be in the room because he's scared of shit. Yo, guys, hashtag clutch in the comments if you think that was, and ask me any questions you want. We're almost at 270
that was sick. Good job,
subscribers. Hey, Tyler. Bro, you gotta watch my video. You don't understand. Freaking
I seen the kill
Jackal.
cam, dude.
No. Like the first kill I got. Jackal marked someone, and they were hiding underneath a desk behind me. And I look, and the
then
guy
he did to
activates
you?
his smoke, and then he runs out the smoke, and I shoot him with my
shit.
freaking suppressed pistol or SMG. Hick, he says GG.
I'm back. Sorry, I had to force my brother to take the dog out. Oh, that's okay.
We got 79 people watching, guys. I'm only
Dude,
3
I
likes away.
want a
Please
dog.
smack that like button. Also, don't forget to
grandpa let me
subscribe.
get one.
Really do
That
appreciate it.
sucks.
Kylie says clutch. Yours says clutch.
Protect the hostage. Secure
That
the
was.
room.
Buddy.
Nah,
Let me
man.
reward you. Good job.
That
Come here.
I don't even care about that kill. I care about the first kill that I got. That was next level. That was
Face
mad.
his teabag.
Who just shot me?
How did I shoot you? I shot the wall.
Oh, are you sped? If I'm across the wall, do you think the bullet doesn't go through it? Yeah, 3 seconds to give me help.
Nice.
2,
Deploying ADS.
1.
This guy not letting me.
Give me freaking health, you dumbass!
Oh,
This guy shoots the wall. And he's
Do you
like,
not know
oh.
that your dog?
5 seconds.
What?
I forgot.
Hey, Austin. Hey, Emmer.
Well, okay, bro.
Can I have next round? Deadass.
New camera feed.
I will. Yo, let me try the glitch. You think the glitch still works? Oh yeah, it does. Deadass.
How would you go all the way down there, though?
Cause they usually come through here, and I'm gonna be screwed cause I'm still trying to do the glitch. And
I got you.
Gosh, how do you do this? I forgot.
Aim at the middle sight and like the little bar at the back, and move your pistol a little bit. Oh shit! Watch out!
Hold up.
Watch out, deadass.
Setting C4.
Oh, move.
Setting off.
Nah, you good. Shit.
They're up there. They're definitely up there. Oh, yep. All right, yo, let's get out of there. Yo, up top. Come with me.
Oh my god, dude.
Kind of warned you, bro.
I hate my life.
Why is there always 2 freaking people there? 100 likes, so thank you so much, guys. You guys are amazing.
Look at his
Appreciate it.
Tachenka.
Touch a ranker.
Oh.
Hey, Alex, for attack, Fernando, can you be
Well,
sledge?
bro, do
All
you
right,
say
I'll pick
deadass
sledge
like
next
Bernie?
round.
I don't say
Hey,
as much as him. but I do
Faces.
say it,
Hey,
bro.
crazy.
It's like a
Hey,
Toronto
John
New York
SL.
kind of thing.
John Nassel.
That is his catchphrase, though.
Guys are only
Right.
2 subscribers
A lot
away
of people
from
in Toronto do that.
270 subscribers. Hey, faces.
It's a Toronto thing, man. I don't know.
Yo, I wish I made it in there. You know how sick it'd have been if we made it in there? Ah, let's get it.
Ooh.
Touch her anchor. Touch her anchor. What?
Hi, crazy.
Hey, faces. Hey, they crazy.
bro?
Hey, Alex. Rev, really? How you gonna die, bro? How you
I
gonna
didn't
die?
even see him, bro.
Failed.
How you
All
gonna
friendlies
die?
were
PS4 or
eliminated.
PS2 playing on? We're playing on PS2, bruh. Out here, you know? Oh,
This
shit.
dude's lit.
Hey, Uriel Rodriguez says it's PS4. Yeah, we're on PS4. Faces says PS1.
PS2 days were sick, dude. The
That
little game
ass.
capture thing or the save card.
Good ass. Can you be
Fuck,
Buck?
okay.
I will.
I'm back again. Yeah, respect.
Austin says you pulled off some Macy J stuff last round. I don't know who Macy J is, but
Yo, Lanky was talking about
That's
that
it.
guy.
who's Macy J?
Remember that? He said watch him. I never got around to it.
Who?
Is he a rainbow streamer?
Macy J. I don't know
I
who
didn't say
is.
that.
All right, so what
Not
we're gonna do
you.
now, guys, is we're gonna leave this squad. We're gonna invite Ro
He
and
didn't
Rev,
do it, so
and
I
we're gonna
have
make
to.
it open for all you guys.
What
So
kind of dog
again,
you have, bro?
if you want to join us, you gotta join my community right there, and also you gotta send me a friend request at Fernando353. You pulled off. Oh yeah, okay, same comment. Will you play as Blackbeard? I could. You
I
have
hate
12k
Twitch, bro.
subs.
I'm not
Wow,
using it
says
ever
Colton. Thanks, Colton. All right, invite players. These 2 losers.
Chihuahua.
All right, now we're
What's
gonna
that
open
logo?
up on the count of 3. Here we
Let's
go. 1, 2. Wait, let's wait for them to join. Hey, you real?
You know what I really wanted? A
A
freaking
buddy?
golden retriever, bro.
A golden retriever. I want a teacup Yorkie. Ever since I seen freaking Fousey Tube's dog, I want that same freaking little dog.
Yeah, he's a rainbow streamer.
All right, guys, we open it up now, and
Macy
you guys
J.
can join. Oh, Austin says yeah, he's a famous R6 player. Oh, damn. Pretty cool. Hey, Rank. Hey, you real?
Macy J.
I said Rank, not Frank. Rank. Ha! Got him. Of course you could join
His
Frank.
logo is deadass just MJ.
That's sick.
Like no, like in text, like normal text.
I know.
That's
Yeah,
sick.
man,
It looks clean.
All right, we have FaZe Clan is dope that joined, and Max. Max
Yeah,
is
he's-
always in here. That's pretty awesome, Max. Guys, we're
Great
only 1
week,
subscriber away from
Wow,
270.
wow.
Come on, let's get that 1 subscriber.
Does it lag for you? I'm watching it right now. It looks okay.
Whoa. Oh shit! Your audio device almost just fell.
Wow.
That'd have been kill. Hey, big money. Sorry, I'm late. That's all
I
good.
do not like this map.
Did I leave
I
the
hate,
Skype?
why is it this map again? Oh my god.
Oh, I left the Skype call. Oh shit.
No, you didn't.
What do you mean you left the Skype? Call?
No. Shit. Hold on. Oh no, I'm
What are
sorry.
you talking about?
On your iPod.
No, I
Hey,
hear.
Briley.
That's what I
Hey,
was
big
wondering.
money. Fernando, sorry I'm late. That's all good, big money.
No,
That's
I-
all good. Hey, Bradley. Oh, shoot. Blackbeard, they said. Let's go,
Let me take their
Blackbeard. We at 270 subscribers. Let's go! Guys, please don't forget to smack that like button. Why are we doing yacht again, man? I hate this freaking map.
Congratulations.
I hate this freaking map.
I hate
You
it
know,
with a passion.
taking in how many glitches are coming now. For example, Bank, there's that always spotted glitch. Yacht,
I
there's
mean,
that.
then again, you never know how many there were. Have you ever like
Yeah, there were no
ever
glitches
searched it up
before. Hey, Kylie. Rainbow used to be one of the least glitched games ever.
Oh shit.
Hey, Ben. Guys, please smack that like button. Hey, Luca. Hey, Fun Channel. Welcome back. I'll go buck after
We
Fun
can still
Channel.
hear for
It's
Fernie's
because
dad
someone
for-
asked.
It didn't, bro. He's just bugging. I don't know.
Hey, John SL. Says Cav, please. Okay,
I
fine. I'll go
just
Cav.
I misunderstood.
Hey, Kylie. That sound like Big Bunny? Who's Big Bunny?
You know
Hey,
who
Fernando,
Big
you
Bunny
said
is?
you would be Sledge.
You didn't
I
have
will
Paul,
be
bro.
Sledge, Alex. But I just have to pick the operators that other people asked for first. So it's
I want to
it's
play BO2
Blackbeard,
again, but no PS3. Bro,
then it's
facts.
gonna be
The hostage has
I had to try my Black
I mean
Ops.
it's
We actually-
first
I had
the
to-
request for Blackbeard and then
Blackbeard?
there's
Yeah, I tell you what,
Sledge I think and I forget the
I
other one.
don't know, maybe.
Here we go. Hey Murphys. Hey Tyler. Hey
I
Eric.
got
Hey
slapped
King.
in the
Ron.
face for 5 seconds.
Yeah, Alex.
What are you saying?
I just said I
That's
got
what he just
slapped.
said, you dumbass.
I thought you said you slapped me.
Yeah, shut up.
Hey crazy.
I'm very angry, so shut up.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Big head.
Oh.
Yo, I'm begging you. Ha, ha.
We'll do a
Shit.
like spike soon, Alex. Alright, let's go. Let's go. Maybe yeah, that tad. I'm gonna go through here. Wait, where is it? Oh, switch gun. Does it make me faster? Oh yeah, it does. I hate every character. G2G. Remember to look out for smoke next round. Fact. Fact does. Big money says foot.
Bro, just asking. Do you have an Xbox? Bro, deadass. Xbox 360 was my first console, but I don't have it anymore.
I
and
remember
don't have
buying that
Xbox
with
One
you.
now. Huh?
I remember buying that. With
Oh
you.
yeah, you came. We bought that. What's that dirt bike game?
Oh, I remember
Bro, you
playing
could probably
that.
stream BO2 or 3 if you have it. Can you stream from the PS3?
Yeah. Elgato.
You could.
Hey, fun chat.
No,
Nice
I
sneaky
haven't
impressions. That's unfortunate.
I don't know. Bike says hello. What's up, bro? How you doing?
You wanna break
I'm
this?
breaching. I'm breaching. Yeah.
No. Do the corner. Do the
Guys,
corner.
everyone
Do
just
the corner.
try at me, bro. Come in, come in.
You want me to do both sides?
Yeah. Go. Go. Here we go.
Freaking frost.
Got one. Oh shit! You're to your right. To your right. Why would I force this? Damn, bro.
Top 4 last operator standing.
Going into your right. To your right.
Swapping bags.
Wait, what? Where'd he go?
I don't know. Woo!
There. Let's
Dude,
go.
Blackbeard's gun is strong. I only had to hit him twice, and I wasn't even aiming. Look at this. Pow pow.
I have an Xbox.
Hey, sneaky
One.
impressions. Says sorry I'm late. That's all good. That's
Don't
all
know if I'll
good.
get the X though. What's the X?
Xbox One X, the next one that's coming. Oh, someone asked me to go cap, so
Wait,
let's
what?
go cap.
What's the new Xbox?
Xbox One X. Dumbass.
Oh shit! I never.
This guy, this guy asked, "What's the Xbox One X?" I said it's a new one.
No,
And
I
he's
said-
like,
I
"Wait,
said,
what's the new
Xbox?"
Xbox?" Yeah, I said that. No, you
Oh.
asked what's the Xbox One X.
Wait, they already released that and shit? Like it's leaked?
No, I don't think so. At least I don't
It's
think
Xbox One S.
No X,
It's
bro.
Xbox One S?
Yeah, it's like yo. You know how many freaking Xboxes they have now? Like
Oh,
you can't
shit,
even
I'm
keep
so
up with
behind.
that
Protect
shit.
the hostage. Secure the room.
I didn't know that.
Wait, so how many PS4s do they have?
I think it's not like a new
They're
Xbox
just
per
like a
se.
newer style model?
It's like upgraded.
Mm.
So it's not like a PS5, for example.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, people want me to go Cav. I'm going Cav, guys, just for you guys. Hey, crazy.
Yeah,
Alright,
maybe my
let's go.
Surveying for hostiles.
Where they at, though? I know they're not here yet. I'm trying to think of a plan right now. I usually don't play on
Man,
that
I had to
spot.
pick Capkin. I hate
Why did you pick Capkin?
Because
5
everyone else.
seconds to insertion.
Oh my gosh.
Are you still here?
I'm trying not to aim at it, but it still hits it.
Cole, what's up, bro?
Guys, let's try getting 110 likes. I know we can do it. Oh, they team killed. All right, that's cool. I'm down. I'm down with that. I'm up for it. Hey, Rainbow Six Siege player.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back down, bro. I move like a freaking turtle with this.
I wish I could say the same thing, but I'm faster with Cav. Way faster. Hey, Mario, might go Rook or Doc with Shoddy. Gassed up, Shoddy.
Where they at? Where they at?
Got Buck.
Nice.
I hear some big thing moving here. Probably
Both
had.
died.
I'm dry.
I knew it.
Deploying heartbeat
Throwing
sensor.
pressure.
Yo, come back. I'll give you help.
Cat, I'm on Montaigne right now.
Sensor deployed.
Push me, buddy. Push me, I
What?
dare you.
Yo,
Hey,
Rev,
brother.
Rev, get me. Rev, get me.
Hold up. Interrogating, guys. Here we go. Here we go. Hey, Luca. Hey, Kyrie.
Beta's coming for you.
This guy never gets you when I.
Yeah, I was coming and you just died.
You suck.
Go, 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 go.
Isn't the Xbox Scorpio the Xbox X? There's an Xbox Scorpio.
Oh my freaking gosh! No!
Alright, bro.
He didn't even have to get you. He just had to shoot you with his health gun. Hey, gamer. Hey, okay, fun channel. Hey, Ka. Hey, Rainbow. How's everyone doing? Hey, Cole. Dude, just please win this. Please. 2 left. Okay.
Kill him.
Why are you rushing? I don't get it. Like,
Please go sud to.
I don't get why you rush.
Hey, bro, don't shout out people.
Hey, gamer boy. How you doing, gamer boy? Gamer boy. Batty boy. Alright, let's do this. Okay, so what's my next operator? Slash, right? Yes.
I'm gonna go Ash.
Bro, I'm getting bear requests. I don't know, dude. That freaking Blackbeard experience really got me going.
Dude, I want a black Blackbeard.
What?
I want a black.
What?
Buy Blackbeard.
Say fun channel.
Shoot you
Fun
with the
channel.
Then I shoot you with my AK.
I got 1, 2, 3.
Got a
four,
Glock in
five.
my Rari. Hey, Ben. Yeah, I'm so late. That's all good. Cole, how you doing, Ben?
Christmas. Yeah, bro, get it.
Hey, gamer boy. Welcome to the stream, guys. As always, if anybody is new, don't forget to subscribe. Hey, Ian. On that tab. I'm way too crazy, eh?
You have Forza yet? Bro, I really want a car race, to be honest.
I want to play Forza again. I have it. I just don't play it. I don't know why.
Located.
Forza?
Yeah, on
That
PC.
came out on PS4.
No, on PC. I have it on PC.
Oh.
I need to start playing it, bro. Hey there, Luca. I am died. Hey, Ian Gibson. What's up, Ian Gibson?
And go and get something else for my birthday. When's your birthday, bro?
Different channel.
5 seconds.
Fun fact, my birthday is yesterday.
Crazy. My left
guys,
stroke
favorite
just
day, no.
17 shots, no 38. Oh, this is Black Ice, guys. This is freaking Black Ice. Hashtag lit. Every day we lit. Yeah, I'm eating a Teddygram.
Because my birthday is December 3rd. Oh, never mind. That's fine.
What's a
That was
Teddygram?
yesterday.
You know what a Teddygram is?
Teddy bear?
Teddygram.
Nope. Is it like
Did I
Candy
really
Grab?
just miss that? I have no idea.
That shit that we had in elementary.
We still had that in freaking high school.
Oh yeah, true. For Forza PC and Xbox can play together. Oh,
Here we go. Here we go.
I didn't know that.
Shit, I want to get you some.
Happy late birthday. I appreciate it.
Oh my gosh! I almost just died to him. That would have been sad.
Where am I going?
G-Li Belli.
4 last stop.
What just
I
happened?
didn't do shit.
What just happened?
Op 4
I
That
shot
dude
him and he
got two
didn't die! What?
Oh, by the way, Fernando, you kind of ruined yesterday stream. Oh, didn't you see that? Right?
What the
Tell him
hell?
again.
Yo, this dumbass could have plugged his mic in and said bye. Okay, that's not my fault. I'm doing the same map
No.
but different game. Hey, Dogface. Yeah, Alex. He's just lazy. He didn't want to plug his mic into his PS4 and say bye to you guys. Okay, so like before you guys start hating.
I have so much wires around me right now.
No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. That's a lie. No, you don't. Hey, Dogface. I'm doing the same map but different game. Oh yeah.
Because basically
Have you
this is
heard
how it works.
the
Fernando
song
has
Broccoli
this
and
thing
I
connected to
Spy?
his iPod
Facts. Hey, Kylie.
That plays the
It's a
audio
bear-shaped
to my party.
food with chocolate chips. That sounds good. Hey, you right,
And if
crazy
he
Frank.
leaves Skype or turns PS4
Hey,
off,
cool.
then that disconnects the audio for me.
So, you
So.
know, if he starts talking up, you know what I do. Hey,
You
cool.
need to protect the hostage. Secure the room.
Shut up.
Jeez, that's a sick place, and let me put one above there too.
Basically says LOL, right?
Oh no, I just took it in. I can't look behind it. Oh no. Did I just lose a Valkyrie cam?
Razor wire ready.
Pick up,
Now
please.
what we talking about?
Please. Oh, might as well
Bro, I'm
shoot
going
it.
to moderate for the stream. I'm going to hang out. Alright, bro. Alright,
Epic
I
ghost.
appreciate coming by.
Hey, dang, Frank. Hey, sneaky impression. I mean, sneaky impress. I'm sorry, sneaky. Hey, Dicho. We're at 65 people watching. Can we get 70 people watching? We're almost at 100. I think, no, we passed 100. Hey, Abraham Ramiro. Hey, Fernando, just subscribe. Can I join you when you get a chance? Of course, buddy. We switch it up every 2 games. So after the next game, we will switch it up.
Oh, what?
I had to switch it up.
I don't see them. No visuals.
Oh, damn.
I heard something break. I'm not sure where.
Bro, was
Oh.
that you? That's it?
Front door. Oh my gosh, that guy's shit. Is that a freaking Twitch stream? Come here. Yeah, that's right, dumbass. Yo, it's freaking Hardeep! Dude, how you doing, Hardeep,
Hey,
man?
What's up, Hardeep?
Welcome back, bro. How's your leg doing? I'm sorry, I didn't even check Instagram in a while. I apologize, bro. How you doing, guys? Hashtag get well soon. He did just have a surgery, guys. He's feeling a lot better though now, which is amazing, dude. How you doing, man? Hey, Epic, go say Kyle.
Holy.
Hey, Johnson, Lynn. Let me know. How are you doing now?
Shit.
I didn't even
Cav.
see this guy. Oh my god.
Going upstairs. Hey,
I'm
Alex.
getting raped right now.
Hey, Dick. Alex. Hey, gamer. Hey, Faces. Hey, Kyle. I wouldn't mind going on for a bit longer, the stream.
Come on, Max.
Yo,
Freak
bro, I'm going
frack,
to the
bro.
stream
This guy
soon.
followed
Bro, come
me.
back, though. Alright,
Thought that
bro.
was a
I appreciate
teammate.
you coming by.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, guys. I choked. Yeah, it goes. Alex says, let's get 300
Bro, I've been
likes.
choking the stream. L after L.
Epic Ghost. Hey there, Epic Ghost. Hey, Epic Ghost. Alright, let's watch this play by Max and Rev.
Max.
Oh, let's get it, FaZe. FaZe is turning up right now. He got followed. Damn, that sucks. And somebody just subscribed. I will give the shout out in a second when I see it on screen. Yeah, I need to get a second monitor, bro. So I can freaking see,
You mean a third monitor?
oh yeah, third monitor. So that I could see, like my OBS on one side and everything else on the right side.
True.
So I could control it like that. That'd be sick.
Yo, Max is lagging.
Hey, cool.
Advised, Op 4 has visual on the hostage.
Oh, they just found the hostage? Wow, that's sad. About to go to football practice? Nice, man. Hope you have fun, buddy. It's okay, okay. That's how you use pulse, guys. For now, just do the stream longer.
That's
Just
not
switch
how
over to
you do it.
GTA. No, I can't do that, bro. I've never done it like that.
Yo,
I
use your
can't.
MP.
Really, bruh? Really, bruh? Are you?
Ah,
God. Can you not aim down sight?
Failure.
Like,
Facts.
are you like sped?
Shotgun.
That, no,
Why'd you
that
switch?
doesn't matter. You know a shotgun shoots out multiple freaking shots at once, and you probably hit him with like
you know
one
what I
bullet
need?
each time.
Some freaking popcorn to watch.
Hardeep says, Fernando, how you doing? Doing
Dude,
good,
I
bro.
haven't
How are
had
you? And it's
popcorn
okay,
in
bro,
so
if you
long.
don't get to check Insta. I completely forgot, Hardeep. I apologize.
Yo, when was the last time you guys had
Dude.
popcorn?
Yo, who picked Cav?
I
just
want
have to
popcorn
vote.
so bad, dude.
Let me tell FaZe that I want to go Cav. Actually, I can't do it. So, okay. No,
Let him know.
Actually, someone wanted me go. I don't know what I just said.
Fuzzy Clan is big.
Go mute. Hey, Richa. Why can't you do that? Because it's not professional. Yeah, Hardeep, you gotta come by soon. More, man. If you get a chance, that is. Only if you
Need
get a
to keep the
chance.
hostage secure.
All right,
What's
mute
more
time. Mute time, boys.
Maybe some dude. I never had time.
It's football tackle. What is
I want
football tackle? Are you just tackling in football or like what? Hey, Chris.
Does he mean like American football? Or actually like the opposite of flag football? Yeah, I'm actually sick of flag football.
You're not.
I
That's
remember
a lie.
back in the day in elementary, I was zoom past everyone. But
That's
my
a
team was so
lie.
shit.
Op 4 drone has located.
Facts, yo,
Prepare for
dead ass.
assault.
Like
Down
people
to
in
10
elementary, like most of them were shit.
Facts.
And then out of nowhere, everybody in high school is freaking sick at everything. Hey, Ian.
I used to be a wide receiver, bro, and like man's caught down.
Received it wide.
Yes, I.
Mag change.
Okay, they watch me. You know, if you hear the drone around you, you just
Yeah,
gotta
you can.
dip. Yo, we're
Yo,
almost
I
at
actually
70
don't
people
think-
watching. Are we
I
gonna get
haven't seen it in the
70?
store yet.
Are we gonna get 70? Are we gonna
Yo,
get 70?
unknown biker dead ass. I'm actually about to go get up here. Or like get some of that.
Mew's a
Tacky,
legendary
bro.
Pokemon. Oh yeah, Mew's in thing now. Or yeah, I'm
Mew?
pretty sure. Yeah, it's in
Mewtwo?
yeah, in Go. It's in Go.
That's sick.
Yeah, we passed 100 people watching.
That's dope, what?
It is pretty sick.
I'm dry.
Oh
This is only
shit.
this.
Should probably
Bro, watch
barricade it.
behind the room right here. There's a guy in here.
Let me reinforce
watch
this.
that,
Hiding,
watch
Ranjit! If you ever had an airsoft war? No, I actually brought out my Nerf guns today. I just had to clean them up. I'm gonna put them up.
What? Dude, oh my god. Takis taste so freaking bomb.
Oh my gosh. Hey,
Friendly
Rap
last
Steven.
operator standing.
Do they
Fun
taste
chum.
like the flaming hot Cheetos or better? The way
Ooh.
it looks like it has like a little
Failed.
sweet taste to
All
it.
friendlies were eliminated.
Yo, guys, you guys need to get more than one kill, man. What is this?
Sorry.
Hey, Frank, you can be
I'll
my
try, I'll
best
try.
friend. Epic
I
Ghost,
just
guys.
found out they
Please
do in
smack
Canada, so I
that
went to
subscribe
buy some. Oh, you live in
button.
Canada too? That's dope.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much for subscribing,
Where do you
buddy.
get them from?
Appreciate that.
Like your typical Walmart or No Frills or stuff. Fun channel. Can you go buck? I can, but I
Ghost.
don't have it.
I'll go buck.
I
We gotta
can't.
keep playing one more game as a team? No. We have to leave this team. Okay, get ready to join us, guys. Get ready.
Dude,
good,
I'm
good,
actually
good,
craving
good, good.
Takis right now.
Give me a tacky.
Do you know what those are?
Yeah?
Oh, they look so good. Like just the package.
I played nose guard, MLB, DRD. Yeah, I don't know these positions for football,
I need a new operator, dude.
but I do for soccer. How'd you call him?
Wait, what were the positions?
MLB, DE.
Oh, I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, dead ass. Dude sucks. Okay, no. I need to cancel the search. Okay, here we go. Actually, let's just play this team for one more round. One more round. Hey, Mighty Mice, just opened Alpha Pack. Got Twitch Chibi
I want a new
Charm.
defender.
Nice.
Who's a good defender, guys?
Rip their souls out. LOL. Hey,
Rook.
Patino. Fernando, bro,
I'm
how's
going Rook.
everything going on? How's the views on the streams? It's alright, already. I mean, we
Yeah,
haven't
but-
been growing as fast as we used to be. But it's growing.
Loadout.
Slowly,
What's
but
the best
surely.
loadout for Rook? MP5 or P90?
Yeah. Hey,
No,
that's
dead
it.
ass though.
What are your options?
P90, MP5, and the shotgun.
I'd say MP5.
Shit.
MP5 is like one of the best. You could switch it in game.
Yeah, but the patches-
Frank, I did not get a chance to add you, bro. I'm sorry. I need to add you. Send me a friend request. I don't know how to add people. That's why.
Alright, let's try, guys.
Yeah, you mean get more than one kill?
Yes, I do.
Okay. 2 weeks till school. No, the torture. I actually have just a little bit over a month. A month and
We
a
have
week.
no, we have dead ass just a a month.
Yeah, a month.
A month and a week.
When does it start? September 7th.
7th. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
not
that's
really a
month.
week.
It's like
It's-
a month and a couple of days.
That's
It's like
4
a month and
days.
4 days.
Yeah. School is prison, I swear. That ass. Yeah, I need.
I got it from Whole Foods
Hey,
and a
Sneaky,
gas
I'll get
station.
better.
I'm gonna go looking for that,
Hey,
bro.
Kylie.
In Toronto.
My
I'm
brother's a
throwing every gas
linebacker
station near my
and
house.
center. That's pretty sick, Kyle. Happy Ghost.
I've never tried that. I'm craving it now.
I'm hungry, bro. I haven't eaten lunch yet.
Dude, unknown beggar got me thinking about these chips now. Shit.
Hey, fun channel said, but Fernando, it's all good, bro. There's always ups and downs in life. Facts are deep, and also I think a big cause to grow slow
We need to
growth
locate a bomb.
is people are going back to school. They're just getting their shit together. You know.
Guys,
Hey, Cash
tomorrow
Boy.
after the gym, you guys want to hit up
Hey,
Walmart?
Ace. Hey, Jeremy.
Hmm?
When are you
guys
getting
don't want-
face
wanna go
cam?
Walmart
Oh, yo,
tomorrow?
face cam should be coming tomorrow
Sure.
or the day after.
Drone has
So,
located a bomb.
you know,
I
that's
used
pretty
to live in
cool.
Toronto, but now I live in Vancouver. Oh
Yes, Lord.
shit, Vancouver. How is it down there?
Down there, it's actually a little bit higher than we're at. So,
Is it?
it's not really.
Isn't-
down there, but-
It's at the west, right?
Yeah, but a bit higher west.
I don't
Hey,
know.
Kyle. Hey. What grade you in? So it's weird. I said
Hey,
it.
watch this.
I don't know what grade I'm in, okay? I'm in high
The
school.
diffuser has been recovered.
Hey, it says, I lay paintball.
Location
Oh, you mean
and
play.
defused.
Hey, sneaky. See you
Is
next
it
year. Alright,
cold
let
down
us
there? Is
sneaky.
it cold in Toronto?
Up
In
there.
Vancouver?
Up there.
I didn't say anything.
Yeah, you said,
I
you
said, is it
said,
cold
is it
over
cold down
there?
there? Down
Don't
there,
make
you said.
Shut
that
up.
Said down there. Renjit says yes, face cam. I'm kind of dreading it, I'll be honest. I want to do face cam. Okay.
Who's not gang man? Let me find out.
Yo, I'm
Keep
scared.
doing clicks when I'm talking
I'm
to you.
freaking rushing in with Buck, but there's Cav roaming, so. So this is why I feel so comfortable with Hibana.
Alright, fine, go there.
Even if there's a Cav roaming, guys, I
I
can
miss
just
my
put
house
down a
back in
freaking
Toronto.
little.
Dude, Toronto's
Claymore.
lit, bro.
I should play Claymore. I mean, paintball.
There's so much to explore.
Hitting base. Alright, come on, let's go, let's go, let's go. I don't know where that Cav is, man.
Oh,
I don't want
shit.
to mess with it. I really don't want to mess with that Cav.
You must recover the diffuser.
No, 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 that's
You planted?
compromised.
Oh, no,
Compromised.
drop this shit.
Oh no, he died.
Oh shit.
Go up, go up, go up, go up, go up, go up, go
There's a
up, go up.
Valkyrie and bomb. B-bomb.
You think Cav knows where the bomb is?
Hell yeah. Got Valkyrie.
Good.
I have like a grudge against her. I'm pretty sure Cav knows where it's at, so I'm just gonna drone it. Here we go.
Yummy Twitch that thing?
Go take out cameras with your Twitch.
Go on an adventure. Oh, there's Valkyrie cams.
What was that? No one's there. I'm just checking around everywhere, seeing what we can.
Yeah, I'm gonna go up
Valkyrie
there
around
and
here.
see if Cav's it.
I'm gonna have to retrieve the bomb. Okay, we have two options. We either go for the objective.
Yeah, I'll distract Cav and you go get the
Cav's
bomb.
up here.
You wanna?
Cav's up here. Found her.
I'll distract
Right there.
her and you go get the bomb.
Okay, there she comes. Dumbass!
Never
Woo!
mind. Good job, good job.
You know what
There's one more
happened?
guy. There's one more
Cav,
person, there's one more
I know,
person.
I know. Gonna
Oh my god.
push in a little.
Tomorrow.
Okay, let me tell you what happened. Cav saw me on the drone, so she thought I was outside the window, and she said, "Oh,
Mhm.
let me rush them, you know, let's get the kill."
Diffuser has been secured.
But little did she know that I was watching her
Hold
rush
on, hold on.
outside.
Stay there, stay there.
Yeah,
Alright, there's no one when you drop down.
yeah, I'm dropping
Watch
down.
the holes, though. Watch
And
the holes.
At B bomb, let me see where he is. Let me see where he is. He's not in B bomb.
There's so many holes there, bro. I'm so scared.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Facts. Let me go to A. Hold up. He's not. Wait, what? He's not in A either.
Okay, I'm
Look on
planting.
the stairs. Behind the stairs.
I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm coming.
I'm planting in a 6 spot. Hey Frank, how's everyone doing? Hey Tyler, hey Dogfish. Sorry guys, give me 1 second.
Where is he? Where is he?
Diffuser is online and
I don't know.
active.
But I planted.
Shit.
Watch those holes, though, Fernando.
Bro, you watching A?
Oh, Yummy, watch! I'm coming to help you.
Do something. I don't know.
I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm coming.
Right there.
Shit. Yo, on me. I marked him. I marked him. Get him from the back. Get him from the back.
Woo! Good call out. Hey Kylie. Hey to Epic Ghost. You have want to shoot, and the reason not just to run around. Hey Darren. How you doing, Darren?
I
Hello.
want to go to Toronto
Hey,
and Vancouver.
How you been
I have
recovering,
nice houses in
Hardeep?
Vancouver.
How you been recovering, bro?
Probably do. I don't know.
Hey, Dogfist.
Who
How you
knows
doing, Dogfist?
what's famous for Philadelphia? Isn't it the cheesesteak or what is
Yeah,
it?
Philadelphia cheesesteak or whatever.
Something like that.
Maybe a cheesesteak.
Is it
Cheesesteak.
cheesesteak?
Why did the stream stop? What? What are you talking about? Stream didn't
I
stop.
remember watching an interview on Joel Embiid, and he was saying
Sneaky says
how
behind
he
you.
wanted one of those. Is
I
it called
remember
a
that from
cheesesteak?
Fresh Prince of Bel Air.
That's something else they're famous for.
Hey, man,
I was
G.
gonna say Fresh Prince by Matt Will Smith.
Let's
And
go. We're only
Kevin Hart.
5 subscribers away.
80 show. It's called cheesesteak. What does it
Give you
look
a-
like?
I'll give you a cheesecake. Hey,
That's not
Fistless.
cheesecake.
Hey,
Steak.
crazy. Steak?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it's called. Is it cheesesteak?
Op 4 located a bomb.
I don't know what to think of that. My
And Will
mouth,
Smith. Yep. And
my
Kevin
mouth, my mouth feels weird now after you said cheese.
And
Steak.
Meek Mill. The beef between Meek and Drake. Toronto and Philly.
Yeah, Fresh Prince of Bel Air.
I'm doing good. How are you? I'm doing great, Darren. Thank you for asking, bro.
10 seconds
Welcome to
to
stream,
insert.
Guys, have
buddy.
you watched Fresh Prince of Bel Air? That show
Bel Air?
is lit.
5 seconds and
Bel Air.
counting.
Cheesesteak. It is cheesesteak.
Because my stream is
Located
perfect.
by Op
Awesome.
4.
Yeah,
It's Chuck
Kevin
Norris,
Hart, bro.
look
That guy's
behind
a
you.
Sick comedian. Guys, remember you wasted money watching
Yes,
that freaking documentary or something?
Yeah, Alex, what are you
Oh
talking
yeah.
about?
It was a movie. Oh, what was it called?
What now?
I was about, what now? Yeah, what now? Like it wasn't bad, but I mean,
was fun.
I wouldn't pay to watch it.
Are you kidding? Really? Aww.
From where?
They're all outside.
Where outside?
Main door.
Shit, I don't know. Oh, I'm so dumb.
Did smoke get
Bro, did you
you?
watch Supernatural? No, I don't. I have a Rocky statue. Oh, Rocky Balboa.
Balboa.
I think that's.
Yep, it goes.
I think that's it.
Hardeep says working out. Awesome, dude. Hardeep, how's your leg been? No, Max. Oh, Max. I can just disregard it. Oh no, FaZe Clan.
Ooh, Rev Brave.
Let's get it, Ravy. Let's get it, Ravy. Rev Braves. Roblox sucks.
What now? Yeah, that's the name of
I
it.
don't
Yeah.
play Roblox. Sorry, not Roblox.
I've never played that, bro.
But so we're
It
gonna do
just looks like a
GTA after
shittier
this.
Minecraft.
We're gonna do GTA after this. You wanna join me? And Rube?
That's it, dude.
Wow, guys, see that? He puts his essay before you guys. Wow. Dedicated. Hashtag dedicated.
Wow.
Hashtag dedicated.
All friendlies were eliminated.
I already passed the due date, bro.
No what hell.
Doesn't matter. He had a shotgun too, Rev. Oh shit. Your guy's
What?
body flew, man. What do you mean it doesn't show you live? Probably a glitch again. Oh well, that's all good. Leg is good, bro, but it still hurts a lot. Can't walk properly yet. Damn, dude, that's good though. That you're recovering. That's all the meters. Meter.
Kind later. Bro, I want to watch that Lightning McQueen's movie.
What's
Part
that?
3.
Oh. Deadass. Hardeep, I'm
I've been
hired. Dab notice and do
slacking.
you rent me? What? Hey, Andrew, please.
Wait, do you guys even remember what happened
Locate
in
a
Cars
bomb.
2?
No.
Yeah?
I don't remember that either. What happened?
They freaking,
Cars
bro,
2.
I watched this on the plane. Hey, the.
Yeah, facts.
Okay, let me tell you. I remember. So,
No, you don't.
no, I'm just trying to put it in order. I know the event.
Be advised your drone has located a bomb.
It was about a crop duster and shit like that, about believing. Oh! Lightning McQueen
Crop
gets
duster.
dropped out of the truck.
Drone has located a bomb.
That's the first one.
No,
Insertion in
was
10
it?
seconds.
Yes. Where
No.
he gets dropped out of the truck.
Yeah,
Cars-
that's right.
Wait, I'm thinking about planes then. I don't think I watched
Yeah,
Cars
you're talking
2.
about planes.
The diffuser is
Yeah.
now
Yo, I
secured.
watched Cars 2. I
Proceed to
forgot how
bomb
it goes.
location and defuse it.
Cars
I
2?
remember
Oh,
Cars
was
1.
they where they're like a secret agent service and all that? And they're trying to.
I don't even know.
I don't know. Let us know in the comments. I just said I got a girl for you. She likes your voice. Okay. Hey, M's gaming.
Toys 2.
Loading new mag.
TPing.
Why are all these barricaded?
Where are they? I know there's one right there. Pop that one broken. Hey, crazy. How is that not a freaking collateral?
Throwing frag grenade.
Oh shit. Why does this guy keep throwing frags?
Swapping map.
To the right, to the right.
Cap.
No, bro. Oh! What? How did I not hit him at all? Dude, I'm
Who was
dying.
here?
Oh,
Someone-
yes! He stole the kill. Hey, Jeremy. How you doing, Jeremy? Bro, I went off. I just took like... how many did I kill? I killed all 3 of them.
Who was that? That was Roman.
Hey, God, I grew up on Cars.
He
Cars 2 about them spies. Yeah, I knew it. I knew it. It's where they have spy missions and stuff like that.
Spy missions. Is that-
Yeah.
Awesome.
They were agents because there was bomb. Oh yeah, on the clock tower. Remember?
Oh, okay, yeah.
I did watch. I watched Cars 2 and Planes on the freaking plane. Yo, that's a sick part about Planes. You can watch so many freaking movies. And they're new movies too.
They're new too, yeah. Unless you
Just
get a
not
shitty
boring.
plane.
You wanna go inside, buddy? Like, there's only one left.
Okay.
One friendly operator remaining.
Huh?
Last guy's frosted.
Yeah.
So check around for frost traps. There's a Valkyrie above you. JK, they don't have a Valkyrie on their team. There's a hole there, so look left. Look left. Look at that call out! Look at that
Nice.
call out! You'd have been looking there if I didn't say that.
No, I came through that. What do you mean it's a hole? It's a door.
No, there's a hole in the wall. That's how he went through that. Otherwise, it's blocked off.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Tyler. Later, Tyler. Thanks for coming by, buddy.
MP5.
Alright, let's go. Lego. Dun, dun, dun. Apple bottom jeans, boots with the fur. Got the whole team looking at her. I'm kidding, it's World. Hey, you real? Hey, Ranji.
Cheer the flow.
Cheer the flow!
No.
Next thing you know.
Low. Rev, drop it. Low.
What?
Never mind.
Alright.
Secure the area. Keep the bombs protected.
Guys, you know that workout that we do where we jump
No.
with the ball?
Yeah.
No.
Imagine our hops get like crazy better.
Crazy better.
Oh, don't load that yet.
This kid was about to get his freaking life blown away.
Keep that up.
Advised. Op 4 has found a bomb.
That wasn't me. That was the other.
Changing
Yeah.
mags.
Armor, boys.
GPS active in the sector.
Op
Where's
4
our
has
map?
located
Why?
the bomb. Plan your
Ah, there we
defenses
go.
accordingly.
Where do we spawn?
Down to 10
Alright.
seconds.
Ender, can I be in the next stream football? Sorry, that's all good, bro. Of course, I love Fernando chat because it's awesome. Everything is not the way you're having fun.
Everything is awesome.
No.
Please,
Shut
no.
up. Don't sing.
2 feet out.
Nobody likes you.
Just kidding, I love your voice, dude.
No, I'm not kidding. Just shut up.
The next step.
Activating camera.
Why'd you just say that randomly? Hey, Darren. Hey, Richo. Are they coming from there? Front door.
Where am I?
There's definitely someone out there.
Oh, that was a fail.
Loading mag.
Why don't you go to the other window and shoot him?
Reloading. Cover me.
He did, dude.
I saw that. You seen it? Oh, headshot with the pistol.
Wait, what? Who are you looking at?
The guy outside.
Oh.
Oh shit.
Oh, yo, the bomb is right here.
Nice.
Where I am. There you're not.
Watch that bot,
Come
man.
get me. Yo, get behind me, yo, Rev or someone. Come behind me and...
Shit.
They're shooting me.
What the hell? This guy just no-balls it. No,
Dude,
I was
what?
collateral damage.
Move away. Keep going.
Shut. Yeah. Respect.
Wait, what? Who picked you up?
Your boy Fernando.
Yeah, I don't think we should all be here. If they throw one.
Definitely not.
Nitro cell.
Yeah, it's Rugby. How you doing, Rugby?
Hey,
What's up, Rugby? How you doing, Rugby? What's up, Rugby? How you doing, Rugby? Why don't you go to the other side window row and shoot at them from across the other side? Smart.
You have entered an enemy-controlled area.
They picked it up now.
Your location has been
It's down again.
compromised.
It's down.
Op 4, last operator.
Last guy alive. Yo, we're destroying them.
You will be detected if you remain
Hey,
in this
dude.
area.
Screw it.
Everything
spotted.
is awesome. Yo, your dead ass gonna get killed from the roof. Dead ass be dead ass. You're gonna get killed. Hey, Kylie. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hey, Kylie. No caps. No caps. No caps. Hey, Samuel. Okay, like this isn't that serious. Don't think they have the bomb. Ooh, good job, Rev.
Nice.
Yo, this kid's actually getting better.
He is getting better.
Look at this.
So many corner of my eye, bro.
No, I think he found a good operator for himself.
Fox head. Alright, and on that note, getting 7 kills and carrying Ro and Rev up. Thank you so much for that kid back, guys. Really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for 123 likes. You guys are amazing. As always, over check out Ro in the comments. We will be doing a GTA after this. I'm pretty sure Rockby will be joining as well. And as always, don't forget to smack that subscribe button and like. And after we see if I get an alpha pack, we will end it off. I think I can buy an alpha pack. I don't know. We'll see.
I didn't get it.
Can I buy one? Can I buy one? Bring the
Bite,
squad with me.
bite.
Let's see.
Oh, I left.
Can I buy one? Tell me. Yes, I can buy an alpha pack, guys. Hashtag alpha pack. All right, let's go buy one. You don't have any renown boosters. Oh, I was using it.
I have 10K, but I want to
Get packs. I have 5K.
15.
Here we go, guys. Here
Just
we
get
go.
up first with the operator.
All right. I'm gonna open it, boys and girls. Hey, Hunter.
All
All right, here we go. I'm gonna open a little sliver so I can see. It's purple. It's purple.
Say swear.
It's
Bro, all the stuff
purple.
I got was
shit.
white.
What did you get?
I don't know. I didn't open it yet. Hey, Kylie. Hey, dude.
It's not even epic?
It's purple.
Oh, okay.
It's purple. Should I open it?
Yes, dude.
Here we go. Okay. Black ice for Ash. Let's go.
Oh,
Let's
shit.
go.
Wow.
Let's go.
I opened
rated,
like
that's
5
sick.
packs, but I got no black eyes.
Your boy just got black ice for Ash.
Crazy's like, you not in his description.
Let's go.
Yo, that's
Let's-
sick, dude.
Freaking go. Let's go. Freaking go, guys. Your boy just got black ice for
Yeah,
Ash.
Crazy. Fernando's me.
This is my 4th black ice opening.
That's freaking crazy.
Oh my gosh. No way. Alright, well, on that note, guys, I'm pretty happy. I got black ice for Ash, and this is our main gun too. So that's pretty crazy. Hashtag black ice in the comments if you guys are crazy
Yeah,
for it
boy.
too. And yeah, thank you so much for coming back, guys. As always, really do appreciate all the support. Don't forget to check out Roy, even though he's not in the description. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Later.